turn to you if you want to add in any best practices or tips you have. I like to acknowledge myself also as a huge fan and design guru of Canva. And we have a few that, not an expert, but interested, not yet. Help me get my free account. The person who wants a little bit of help, make sure you hop into my DMs and we'll get you started and get you going. But just so everyone knows who I am, my name is Celine Krzan, and I am your host of today's session. I am the community manager here at Memory Fox, where we help make storytelling easy and help empower you to collect stories from your community. I'm a fellow nonprofit leader. I've actually worked in nonprofits almost my entire career before coming to Memory Fox. Still work actually a bit with nonprofits on my own. On my side, I'm actually helping run a gala tonight. So tonight's a busy night for me. And you all know how that is, finally getting back in person and getting back into these events. So we're so excited to be running these workshops for our community, for all of you, to connect you to resources, tools, and tips to make your lives a little bit easier. And that's our goal. So that's about me. And I want to give you a background really into what you can expect from today's session. So I'm going to pull up my screen, and today's going to be really interactive, helpful, and kind of, we're going to dive completely into Canva. It's a bit of Canva 101, but I also would say we're going to really tie in a bit of talking about best practices to create something that's really meaningful, impactful, and resonates with your audience. Today, we're focusing again on putting together a design plan to be thoughtful about what communications you're putting together. And then we're actually going to do a demo on video editing. So we're going to really dive into video editing tips. And the reason that we're doing that is because we're really excited to be rolling out soon at Memory Fox our Canva app integration. So soon all of our Memory Fox customers will be able to have all of their items that they have in their Memory Fox account automatically uploaded into Canva. So we wanted to get everybody just really in depth, a better understanding of how to edit videos. So that's really what's coming up. So again, you know who I am, Celine Krzan. Please feel free throughout this session. We're going to keep it into a tight 45 minutes. So we have a lot to get through today, and I'll save some time for questions at the end. But feel free to interrupt me, ask me any questions, ask me to slow down and redo things. I'm happy to do that. The beginning of our class, I'm going to walk you through how to plan your story in 6 easy steps. This is actually inspired by a bit of some Canva design school that I've taken myself, and really want to share with you some best practices here. Then we're going to go into step 3, which is really creating a video story with Canva. So I'm going to open up the tool, give you some tips, tricks, best practices. We're going to talk about adding BRoll to your video, how to share it directly on your social media accounts, how to split the pages using templates. So some really nice tips and tricks that you can use and really put into use immediately. And then I always think it's important, as someone who's a nonprofit practitioner, to understand how to tell your story ethically. So I'm going to wrap up with some free resources for all of you to do that. And I'm so excited to dive in. But again, just to reiterate, feel free to stop me at any time. Feel free to come off mute and ask. And this is a really nice small group, which is what we wanted. So we're able to really kind of get one-on-one help for you today as well. So let's dive in and let's get started. So what are we doing and where do we start? This is one of the most important parts. And a reminder, not only will you get this recording, but you're also going to get a copy of this deck for yourself. And the reason why that's so important is because, as you know, planning out your story is super helpful. I'm someone of the mindset, I'm going to paraphrase a nice George Washington quote for us. But if I had 8 hours to chop down a cherry tree, I'd spend 6 of them planning. And that's really huge. So that's why we are integrating this portion of our webinar, so we can give you some tools and inspirational tips. So you can, when you're putting together your videos, when you're putting together your stories and your content, you're doing it in the best way, most efficient way possible. So here's 6 easy steps that we're going to get through, and we're going to fly through actually a bit so you can get into some of the tools, but some best practices for you to have your story make maximum impact. So step 1. So step 1 is really defining your story. The reason that I wanted to share all of this with you, because I think these different story ideas and tools are so useful for all of us as nonprofit practitioners and marketers to see on just a one-page slide. I don't know about you, but it's easy to forget and kind of get caught up into the routine of what we typically put out, of the stories we typically tell. So it's useful to see something painted and have a reminder of the different types of stories we as marketers can actually tell about our audience and about the work we're doing. So here's really step one. Again, we're talking about how to plan your story. These are steps that I encourage you to follow along with, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time to pick for yourself. So step one is, what story do you want to tell? For today's session, I'm going to encourage you to pick one of these. So I'll walk through each of them, and we'll do this together and we'll get there. So what are the different types of stories that we can get to? Step one is our origin story. I love origin stories, and I love sharing these on social media because it really shows the rich impact of the nonprofit and the history that you have. So in questions to kind of spur thoughts in your mind, why does your nonprofit exist? How did it come about? An example that I have for this origin story, I'm on a marketing board committee for a local nonprofit here in Buffalo, New York. That's where I'm based. And what we did, we helped put together a whole series on the 3 presidents that were previously leaving the organization. So we had all of this content. We did 10, 15-minute interviews with the 3 past presidents, talking about the work they did, what inspired them, talk about the origin story. And we were able to bucket that content out over a 6-month period. And it was a really rich campaign to talk about why we existed and remind people about the historic importance of the work that the organization was doing. Origin stories are always super useful when, Jessica, I also agree, go Bills, big Bills fan here. Origin stories are useful when you're coming up to a really important anniversary, or possibly a moment of impact when you're thinking about your mission overall, think of tying into, national nonprofit or some sort of awareness day. Talk about where you come from, how did it come about, and the work you're doing. Next, another piece of inspiration for you is a community story. So community stories are a little bit different than community generated stories. So I'm going to talk here specifically about what a community story means. So how can you humanize your community? Is there a side of reality of the community you serve and that you work in that people don't know about, that people don't see, maybe something unexpected in the place that you are located, the community that you are actually servicing? So that's really highlighting, again, specifically referencing my example is the community of Buffalo. What are different pieces of the community that you interact and work with, or that maybe is unexpected? That's really what you think about a community story. Your community can also be your community of volunteers, your community of gala coordinators, or your board committee. Think about community not only about place, but also about the different activities and resources that you do. So that's another piece of story. Now, impact is easy. What impacts are you building? How have you brought off change? How is the world better because of what you do? That's where we can tie in a bit of our annual report stats and really kind of do a bit of that. Here's our impact. Let me show you kind of how we're doing it. Another piece that I forget about that I wish we did more of is a bit behind the scenes. So how did you accomplish something? How are the staff, volunteers making these events possible? For me, for a gala, go behind the scenes of how the gala came together. It can be as simple as taking out your phone, recording a few videos of you setting up, recording a couple interviews early on. Giving people access to behind the scenes of the work you do is not only interesting and exciting, but it's also really good content. And it also gives people a little bit more insight. We all know the power of authentic storytelling, and it's a good place where you can involve and put on your Instagram story a little bit of behind the scenes action to give some teasers. So another really key story piece. And then finally, community generated stories. So I saved the best for last, and this is what we love. And this is some of what we love to do here at Memory Fox, is helping you enable community generated content and user generated content that helps really pull people together. So who are you serving? Who follows or supports you? Getting a video from someone who volunteers, from someone on your board, someone who's impacted by your programs. And again, these don't need to be highly produced. The more authentic, the better. It gives us a really in the moment, reality based look at the life and at the work you're doing. There's been a huge change on social media lately, moving to community generated content, authentic generated content. And on the for-profit side, we've seen it, right? Unboxing videos, people showing videos of their dogs. That's really where most of my TikTok feed is of animals in the moment. But how can you utilize this, collect moments from your community? You know, Memory Fox is here to help and help you do that. But really thinking about that as its own factor and its own ability to generate different content. So I'm going to pause there, and I want you to pick, just for this example, just as we go along, what is one story you want to work on today during our session together? So take a minute, think about it, and we'll see where we get. Pick one of these. All right. So I hope you've picked one of these for you to work on during our session and during our hour together today. So what's next? Next is choosing your format. So what channels are you going to share your story on? These, again, this is the purpose of this, is to inspire you as you're batching content, as you're planning your month ahead. These are all of the different ways you can distribute content. So some of us, we automatically think, okay, I need to make a video, I need to do a blog post, but where could you actually, where does your newsletter tie in? Where is photography important? Or possibly a social media piece? Again, everything doesn't need to be in every single format, but these are just different ways for you to think about how you plan on sharing the story that you selected. Today, again, we're focusing in video. So we're going to do a really nice video demo for you so you can see best practices for creating an actual video and utilizing the tool in Canva, because soon, again, you'll be able to use Memory Fox to do that. But these are just different pieces of inspiration for you as you're planning on putting your content calendar and content schedule together. Then develop your character. So you've just chose what story you're planning on working on today. So for those of you, an origin story, community, impact, behind the scenes, or community generated content. You've picked which lateral, which theme you want to go with. Now I'm going to ask that you focus in and say, okay, I want to develop my character. Who is your story about? Your story, and again, a character doesn't just need to be a person. It can be your nonprofit. It can be the person, again, who's benefiting from your services. Your character could be a place. Your character could be if you're the river keepers, if you are really helping benefit and clean up rivers, that could be your character. Your character could be the Ohio River, the Buffalo River. Just remember, who is your story about, and fill in all of these different pieces. Do a bit of brainstorming on what the character, who they are, their context, why they're compelling, and what do they see and feel. That is going to be huge for you as we develop our content and as we start thinking about what our actual story in our video that we're going to put together is going to be. Then I want to reintroduce this. And all of us, we love the hero's journey here at Memory Fox. We actually have an entire webinar just dedicated to this one slide, to really mapping out your hero's journey. But again, this is a key part of really thinking through and be thoughtful about the content that you're putting together and the different ways that you can do it. So I'm just going to reintroduce you to the 4 main phases of the hero's journey. Again, the situation. So here, this is really to inform the structure of your video that you're going to put together. Typically, when we introduce a story, you start with the status quo. What's the current state? Where is the world today? Then we move into the initiation. This is that call to adventure. This is where they possibly, if we're talking about an impact story, where the person that you impacted discovered your nonprofit, or your donor discovered the programs you're doing. This is their call to action, what inspires them and sets the story in motion. Then we highlight the transformation. It's not just the ups, it's not just the wins, it's also the downs. What are the challenges they face? We all know the power, and we watch TV, we all know the power of seeing people actually face challenges and overcome them. That's what's really compelling, and utilizing those best Hollywood practices in the content that you put together. And then finally, the return. So this is really where your call to action, where does the transformation lead them? What's the new world they're entering? and utilizing this structure and these pieces to help you think through how you're going to format and build the video that we're going to put together today. Then I love this slide because it's something that I don't normally think about. And as I'm building out content and as I'm building out stories, we can get on autopilot. So thinking about how do you add depth? How do you make it compelling to the people who are going to consume it? And this is where logos, pathos, and ethos come in. What are the facts that you want to highlight? Are there any logical arguments that you want to highlight? But also remembering to balance that with the emotions, which is where pathos comes into play. Evoking feeling. That can happen in a number of different ways, through video, through music, as well as just really evoking passion in your viewer. And then finally, ethos. What are the values and beliefs that your nonprofit exhibits and this story is telling? A challenge that I have for you is to look back on the content that you're currently sharing on your Facebook channel or whatever channel you are most active in. I want you to go through and scroll through and say, okay, where are we leaning? Do we have a lot of stats that we post? Are we just posting 75% of these people are doing this? Or do you lean into pathos? Are you leaning into emotions, evoking feelings? Or are you sharing a lot of quotes? Quotes tend to really exhibit ethos, showing your values, your beliefs, and the truths that you recognize. Do a quick audit of what your current content looks like. It's actually really, it can be really stunning to say, oh, we've been sharing just a lot of facts and data, but we haven't been sharing as many emotions. When you're putting together your content plan and when you're batching different systems and stories, you should be hitting on each of these. You should be not only having facts and data, but you should also be exhibiting those emotions and tying into those feelings. Nonprofit marketers, we have limitless opportunity to lean into pathos and emotions. So be thoughtful about how you can build in those facts and data in a way that's really compelling and adds to the impact of your story. So I know I completely flew through that and flew through those steps for you to help think through what story you're building. But I wanted to give you tastes of what best practices are when we put together content and when we're learning through the Canva Design School how to make your video stories the most effective. So I'm going to transition now into a little bit of thinking about putting together some videos and really digging into the tool. So this is a lovely Canva storyboard template that I just want to share with all of you so you can still see my screen. So now we're moving into how to create a video story with Canva. So we just saw all of these different tools and tips, and I'm actually going to give you one more tip, this wonderful notes side panel. So as you're putting together presentations, this is just a little tip and trick for you to be able to add context to what you're presenting. It's just like PowerPoint. Normally at the bottom you have your notes, but here in Canva it's on the left. So we're going to talk again about how to create a video story. So what are we doing? How do we build that? And what are the best practices to put that together? Now we're going to go back to the planner, Brain and Me, and just give you a storyboard template that you can utilize in any way that you want to as you're putting videos together. Storyboards are important for multitudes of reasons. I have a background in theater and production. So when you are able to map out what you want your story and your video to look like, it makes when you are editing and putting it together so much easier and so much simpler. So here is an easy template just showing all the different scenes that this example video, this is actually an ocean organization that they're putting together. I recommend doing this if you're planning on putting a really highly produced video together, do this before. If you have something with community generated content where you already have the videos you've collected, this is something you can do after. You say, okay, I have these 3 videos. How do I want to put them together and add in these key pieces? So this is a template that I'm going to give you just so you have something to move forward with. It gives you some thought. It also allows you to see the different ways that you can compile pieces together. And we all know, and I encourage you now when you are watching TV, watch how quickly the camera angles change. Watch how many times they bring in B-roll. Typically, they're not on a shot longer than 5 to 7 seconds. So how can you keep people visually engaged and stimulated to watch the video that you're putting together? And I'm going to help you do that a little bit now as we click through and demo the tool. But before I do that, any questions on this first planning your story in 6 easy steps? If not, let's dive in and let's talk about creating a video story with Canva. Now, I want to show you these 10 video editing skills that we're going to review right now, and we're actually going to start putting together. So as you can see, this entire presentation is built in Canva using a Canva template. So I'm a huge Canva fan. Anytime I can utilize a designer's layout, I use it, and I just rebrand it and use our fonts and use the way that we like to present it. But these are the 10 editing skills that we're going to review today and that we're going to talk about. So if you want to take a screenshot, feel free, but remember this is being recorded so you can rewind and replay this portion for yourself. So we're going to start here. And for my Canva superstars, you already know this exists, but Canva has an amazing tool library and a lot of different ways and expertise that we can utilize in content. So now that we're focusing in videos, they have all of these different formats that you can utilize for your content. Most excitingly, they recently added TikTok videos. For those who are TikTok curious, it's a really easy way to get started. So you can utilize any of these templates. It comes in the right format. And for nonprofit friends, you know that you have a free pro account. I will make sure that all of these links that I'm referencing are shared with you in that follow-up email that we send. But there's so many different easy way to build these videos. So we're actually just going to do a traditional 1920 by 1820 pixel video. And we're just going to start here. So our first step in our 10 video editing skill tips is utilizing templates. So Canva is amazing. They have a ton of templates that you can choose from. Here's just an example of one. You can apply all 5 pages and actually go through and rebrand it so the styles match what you are building. So I can change all of these fonts in just one click by going to my left-hand side screen and just clicking our brand fonts. I can change colors, I can shuffle, easy as a click of a button. I don't even need to go in and edit. If I want to change and make that white because it feels better to me, great. But you can see our color palettes are here pulled from our logo. We have our full brand kit, and you can drop in anything you want. The way that it's laid out is really simple. So the way that when we're doing video editing, all of these along the bottom are like different slides. So it's just different scenes. That's why the storyboard template is very cool, because it's easy to think through when you're building a video in a scene-based way. So you see here, again, we can search templates. I think they have a really good nonprofit template. They have a donate templates. You can pull from any of these, anything you want to do or build, and you can just easily replace copy to match your website. So it's as simple as this, dropping in memoryfox.io. But what we're going to focus on today, I'm going to show you a couple simple tools and tips as we play around with and edit this template. So I just showed you how to search templates, how to easily drop that in. Now I want to show you how to drop in some of your videos. Again, in the future, MemoryFox customers, you'll be able to see actually a MemoryFox app just here like Dropbox is, and you'll have all of your files and all of your video files here. But typically, for those of us, we just have to upload our videos. So I'm going to show you quickly how to drop these in, and a really easy way to check that everything is straight and aligned. So an easy way to turn on your grid lines is just clicking that file, go to show grid lines and rulers. So you can see here, actually, I've already kind of dropped some grid lines in here and some rulers. So best practice is to really have the person's face in the center. You can resize videos just by double clicking it and dragging it like a simple crop feature. So you want to make sure that your video is showcasing the person as closely as possible, and that their face is, again, aligned with the center of the video. So an easy way to drag those, I'll show you, is just to go over to here and you'll see this arrow and you can drag in grid lines wherever you need them and however you want to line things up. This is useful also when you're building presentations, when you're doing social media, just to make sure alignment works. That's a secret trick that I learned from one of my graphic designer friends, is when things are aligned, the video just automatically looks better and looks better overall. So I'm going to turn these off. So again, it's just file, show grid lines and rulers. You can also show margins. So this just shows you where things are falling and where things will fall outside of how it's shown. But that is really how to straighten it and how to arrange it. So if you even wanted to straighten it a bit, you can just move it around. You can rotate it and it will resize for you. Now to lock it, say I don't want this. Okay, I like where it's placed. I'm going to remove donate today. I'm going to pull this copy down, make it a nice orange, and I don't want this to move when I lock it. So this is how you can just lock it, and then it doesn't. If I'm in here and I'm adding more copy, I'm adding more text, it won't move again. So you can see I can move this, but this video is totally locked into place. I can't remove and edit the template in a way that I don't want to. And it's as easy as turning it on and off. So that will help kind of preserve as you're playing around with things to make sure things stay where you want them to. So as you transition and add new slides and add new sections, it will do that. So again, referencing our storyboards, we have a lot of different scenes that we want to do. A new learning for me is adding B-roll footage to what we're actually building within our Canva template. And it's very easy and it's very simple. So I'm going to show you how to drop in some B-roll. So to edit and to make these clips shorter, it's as simply as right-clicking it and splitting the page. So that is an easy step, an easy way to do it. So let's go into this video. We're just gonna play it from here. So you can see it's her talking. She's chatting, she's gonna read us a book. I'm just gonna show you this quickly. So I would probably want to cut there because that's a place where maybe she stops talking. So I'll split the page. That now makes it a new tile for me. If I wanted to shorten this and just say, okay, I just want the first 15 seconds or so of this video, that's as easy as just a drag. So there's a few different ways to do it to be able to tighten up your video content. The first one is, again, right-clicking on your mouse, clicking split page, and then, or again, going to the end of your clip, dragging it in and making it shorter. So now I want to show you, we're going to drop in some B-roll footage here. So how do we do it? How do we make this happen? So an easy way to drop over B-roll footage, again, best practices for B-roll is that there's a lot of movement. It's visually engaging. It gives our eye a break and makes us pay more attention again to the message that's happening. So when we are in our Canva Pro account, you actually have access to all of these different videos, these free video footage. So here's how you do it, and here's how you drop it in for yourself. So first, again, you would split that video up so you have a second section. So let's say that that's right here. I'll cut it. I'm going to split the page right here. So here, an important note to remember is when you're dropping in B-roll footage, you want to remember how long this current video footage is. So I need to remember, okay, this section that I want to cover B-roll in is 4.6 seconds. So I'm in a dog mood, so I'm going to drop in this dog video over it. You can see here, it automatically changed the time to the time of this video. So you want to change this back to the 4.6 seconds that the original video of her speaking is. So that's cut down. We have 4.6 seconds here. So we're able to still get her talking. Now, when you're clicking this video, all you need to do is really drag and cover the video that you have currently. So I am covering what she's already saying, and I want to make this no sound. But This video is still saying sound. So you'll see that this still has full sound. So what you'll see when I play this for you, let's play a nice transition. It's still her talking. So that's her reading it. So I was able to drop over a nice piece of B-roll footage. Remember, Canva provides this for free for us. So if you're trying to look for people like volunteering, you can drop over a volunteering video of people actually doing something and turn off the sound. So you have a nice B-roll footage of you doing that. If you have your own footage of people working or people out in the environment doing it, or even just a few photos, layering those over, that works as B-roll footage. It helps you break up the visual identity of what we're watching and what we're participating in, and allows you to do that. So B-roll footage is done. We know how to drop that in. We know the importance of making sure that the video that we have here aligns with the video we're actually editing on. So now let's talk a quick moment about adding music. So here it's under audio for me. If you're on your screen and you're in your Canva and you don't see video audio, all you need to do is, again, go down to click more, and it will let you add a variety of different apps. Soon to be, again, memory facts soon will be here on your left, but you can easily just search audio here and it'll allow you to drop in that audio portion of your app. But as nonprofits, we have free premium accounts. So that means you can access any of these audio videos that you want. So let's say upbeat. I also might even add, you can drop down, click here, add instrumental only, apply filters. It will play you samples. And you can click there and see, okay, what do I actually want? What do I want this to say? What do I want this to sound like? To add it to your video, it's simple as clicking. So you can just pull, make sure it aligns with the beginning of your video so you can adjust. You can just drag it over to the left to make sure it's at that it's really flexing the entire video. And you can see effects. So easily you want to fade it in for 7 seconds and then maybe fade it out after 3 seconds. It's an easy way for you to add audio effects and adjust. And it's an awesome way to just get your videos to that next level. So if you can hear it, so you can easily change the levels. You can change just by clicking this sound and just lowering it. If you want it, if it's too loud for you, you can change, edit, and adapt and be able to cut it to make sure it sounds better. So you see here, we have like the fade in, fade out. You decide what works for you and what works best for your video. I also wanted to cover, as we talked about, so you can see here, adding a video template we've gone through, straightening the video with our alignment, resizing, locking, consulting your storyboard, adding B-roll, adding music. These are the 4 pieces that I wanted to talk about last as we come to our half hour of our time together. Unfortunately, Canva does not have auto captions within their tool just yet. Tools like Facebook and Instagram do. So you can have just auto-generated captions added to your video content. If you want to put captions in your actual video, you do have to go through and transcribe it. So let me show you how we can do that. So that's, hi, my name is Joanna. So here you would just add text and you'd say, hi, my name is Joanna. And we will be reading from Be Kind. So a way to make this really stand out a bit is by clicking effects. You can lift that copy a bit, add shadow, whatever makes it stand out a bit more for you. Now we're going to animate the text. So I'm going to show you how to bring this text forward and so it shows. So you can see here, this is a burst. So this is a way that you can have it just show up slowly. That's a number of different writing techniques. I prefer to use either this typewriter piece or a send. I think a send works the best. So this is really just how it would show for you. So you can see, I'll let it play from the beginning. So that's the way that you can add captions directly in your video. Again, you have to transcribe it. That's the part that isn't so great. But the part that is important is knowing 80% of videos that are watched on social media now are watched without sound. Of course, that does not count TikTok. We know everyone automatically is watching things with sound on TikTok, but on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, people are watching videos without sound. So captions are really important. There's a number of free tools that you can auto transcribe things. I'll make sure that I share those links with you at the end. But if you want to add captions in directly into your video, here's a simple way to do it. So that is how to add captions and add text. Now let's dive into adding a call to action. So we've added some captions, we've added some B-roll. Now I'm going to show you, we're going to get back to our template and how do you add a call to action? What do you want people to do? So here it could be donate now. Again, adding a link, your website or QR code. People, again, technically are watching this on their phones or on their desktops. A website link is probably the best, and including it in the caption is best practice. So that's how you're able to make sure that every video you post, every video you build, you have one clear call to action of what you want your viewers and those watching to do. So what do you want them to do next after they watch it? Do you want them to head over to your website to learn more? Do you want them to sign up for a program? Do you want them to donate? Do you want them to sign up for your newsletter? Do you want them to like the post? Do you want them to subscribe? Pick a really best practice call to action so people know what you want them to do after they watch your video. So here again, to easily change style. So I just changed this to our font, colors from our logo. So this shuffles it really cleanly for me. So it gives me a variety of different options to look at, review, see what I like. And then I can easily go in and change the color of the text and make it what I want it to be. Finally, let's add in some edits and transitions. So I showed you a little bit of how to add edits and transitions into our fonts, but let me show you how to do it, how to animate an actual slide. So all you have to do is click animate, and you can do page animations. You can do see easily basic rise. It will apply to this page. It will let you see it and will allow you to do it. You can also right click if you want transitions between slides. You right click on that again where we went to split the page, and you go into different transitions. It will show you how that looks. So let me play that for you so you can kind of see how this transition works. So we hear our music, we see these videos, and then it swipes right, and that animation is directly in there. So it typically shows up in this little bar, and it will let you have transitions and animations between the pages and between the scenes that you're building. And then finally, sharing. That is our last step of our 10 video editing skills and tips and hacks. And it is as simple as clicking. You can directly integrate and share on social from Canva. So it has all of these different tools that you can publish from. When you're a Canva Premium and Pro member, you actually get the rights to all of these music by being a Pro member. So, and you can actually add different levels of music, different voiceovers if you have them. You can upload your own audio tracks. So you can see here, you can do a ton of different things, but it's as easily as sharing on social media or downloading and being able to share it directly then and re-uploading it to your storyboard or wherever you want this video to end up living. So I know I gave you a ton of information there, but I want you to be able to see that and make sure that these are really the best practices, tips, tricks, and skill sets to really tell great stories through video on Canva. And it is simple, but it is just sometimes a bit of clicking around and figuring it out. So I hope this was helpful. We're going to wrap up though in really our fourth section. Time has flown since we've been together. And we're going to talk quickly about telling your story ethically. And I want to give you some really great resources to do that. And these are free resources that we have and that also some of our wonderful partners have that will help you think about ethical storytelling, because I don't think you can have a workshop on storytelling without thinking about ethics and without being, as nonprofit leaders, being leaders in this space. So you'll get all of this link again. And this is a really amazing handbook that has 10 principles and examples to help you think about and have ethical storytelling told within your organization. So highlighting the storytelling handbook, sharing it within your organization, within your team to help you think about, okay, how are we structuring stories? What are the processes we need to build in? And what are the principles we need to think about to make sure we utilize them as we're creating our content? We also have a podcast that we led with Calliope Claros, and she talks about ethical storytelling best practices. She is brilliant in this space. She's fantastic. So I'll give you this so you can think about empathy and how we can really build in these ethical storytelling pieces. I'm an auditory learner, so that's where I prefer to go rather than reading visually on the screen. But I'll make sure that you get this link so you can build it into your next walk, or maybe walk outside as you're thinking about ethical storytelling. Finally, we have a variety of different webinars coming up. This is something we love to do. And we've actually offered an ethical storytelling webinar in the past, and we have a few coming up. So if you want to register and see what's coming up on our calendar, we have a couple more being announced shortly, all about storytelling grant writing, also with Sabrina Walker Hernandez, who's going to be doing a whole deep dive into storytelling best practices digitally on National Nonprofit Day coming up. So we'll make sure that we get you this. But remember, this is another resource for you to lean on and rely on, because we believe in building community. And for our nonprofit customers who are MemoryFox customers, stay tuned. We have our Campfire Club that we're just rolling out and announcing. That's going to give you access to our team to do really small interactive webinars to help you put together really great stories. So putting together campaigns, thinking through this, and really being targeted, because we know the tool, but also our team helping you utilize that tool is really where the magic comes into play. I will share with you again this really wonderful Canva nonprofit community Facebook group, another resource that I love and get inspired by. Easy as scrolling through, it will give you some inspiration, and there's a ton of members in there for you to connect with to get some best practices and ideas on how you can utilize Canva. So all of this will be coming to your inbox, and a variety of resources for you to interact with and utilize. And I know it was just a fire hose of information. But what we would love for you to do right now in the next 3 minutes, take out your phone right now, get out your camera and share a feedback video, and you will get entered to, we'll pull all of our entries so we can feature them on our social media accounts and possibly have some exciting news for on National Nonprofit Day. But do this right now. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, take out your phone and upload a feedback video so we can utilize you in our next Canva webinar. I'm going to give us a nice 1 minute pause, and I'll let you do that. Make sure you put in your email if you want to be, so we can contact you, so we can include you in some of our upcoming pieces. Take out your phone. Your video shouldn't take more than 1 minute. You can give us your favorite takeaway, feedback, or a storytelling practice that you've learned here today, or what your nonprofit is doing. We want to be able to feature you in our upcoming social media and help promote the work you're doing. So just 1 more minute, and then I'm going to close out and give you a chance to ask some questions. All right. So with that, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I know I just fire hosed you with a ton of info and a ton of best practices, but I hope that was helpful as you're thinking through your Canva video editing skills, but also utilizing this as a best practice so you can think about, how do I actually even think, where do I start? And that's what we wanted to provide in this webinar for you, was a place to start. Here, look through all of these pieces, start here, now get out the tool, now start editing and building, and then we'll see where we go next. But any questions, I will open the floor for the last 5 minutes. I know I promised you to be done at 12:45, but any questions from our team? If not, Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Expect an email from me with all of these resources, access to this template, and access to this recording coming in your inbox soon. But thank you again for joining. Mark, thank you so much.